And welcome to the Truth Radio Show. Today's Friday, November 21st, 2014 edition of the Truth Radio Show right here on AlternateCurrentRadio.com and ShakeAndWakeRadio.com. We got a ton of news to get into. We got doctors, potential Ebola cases still covered up by the CDC and mainstream media. They're covering up a lot of Ebola cases. New disease. It's a tropical disease spreading, poses a great threat to the United States. We got technocracy news. We got ISIS news. We're going to try to get into all this. We probably won't because, we only got an hour. But we got Bush here saying Clinton is his brother from another mother. And our top story of the night, which we're going to get into at the last segment, is we're going to expose this whole amnesty thing, folks, how it's tying into the Ferguson riots that are about to take place, how the media is playing along with this whole operation. And also, I want people to know this only is not Obama. I mean, it's Obama, the Clintons, and Bushes are behind this one thing. And this one thing was talked about by Lou Dubs, okay, the amnesty and what we're going to talk about, and Alex Jones. They were the first to come out about this years ago. So we're going to get into that and how it all ties in together. That's going to be an explosive story. We're going to save that for the last segment of the show. But we do got to dive into the news. We got Bush says, Clinton, my brother from another mother, reports the Sunday Times. And George W. Bush has described Bill Clinton, his fellow former American president, as a brother from another mother, as given details of his unlikely friendship with the man who in 1992 had denied his father a second term in the White House. And both men are 68 years old, have bonded over becoming grandfathers. And they were talking about Bush's twin daughter, Jenna, gave birth to a daughter, and Chelsea also had a girl as well. But anyway, with what I'm trying to point out in the article here, of course, the Sunday Times will talk about it like it's like the royal families. Oh, this one had a kid, that one had a kid, but that's not the issue. What I'm trying to explain here is blatantly in your face. He's saying, "Hey, this is my brother from another mother. These people work together," and it goes further than that. I mean, every time Bush is with Obama, Obama openly says, "Hey, Bush is my mentor," all the time. And these people work together, they vacation together, and they're in bed with each other. Plain and simple. I mean, politically, they're in bed with each other because, you have people out there think, oh, Democrats or Republicans are opposing forces. No, they're not. The people are, because they're duped into stupidity to believe that the Republicans, Democrats are for your best interest and work against each other. No, they're not. And the way it goes is it's called the right-wing, left-wing false paradigm. You got two controlling parties that are controlled by the same bird. That's why they call them wings. You got the right wing and the left wing controlled like me. I have a right arm and a left arm. The people just see the right arm and left arm. Oh, this one's better, that one's better. But they don't see the person in the middle controlling both of them. That's what I'm trying to say here. And if you think Rand Paul, if you think Ted Cruz or any of these people are going to march right through Washington and become the Republican savior and go in and change the country, you're wrong. Plain dead wrong, okay? The Republicans, first of all, even if Ted Cruz is legit, okay, even if Rand Paul is legit, you think that the Republican Party is going to nominate them for a presidential ticket? Look what they did to Ron Paul. Ron Paul won. Ron Paul clearly destroyed the elections. But they manipulated it and they controlled it. And, of course, the Republican Party would never give a real honest candidate a nomination. Never. And the thing is, I got to switch this back over. I called this back in 2009. They said that the elite were calling for Jeb Bush to be the next president of the United States. And you could tell because of the meetings he was going to, hanging out in the White House, Obama, and just things weren't looking right. And these are supposed to be opposing forces here, So they were shaping him up to be the next puppet president because what happens, it's got to pacify America. And you got all the patriot groups out there, the Tea Parties, majority of them are GOP, a lot of patriot groups are Republican. But the thing is, they really think that Rand Paul's going to save the day. They really think that Ted Cruz is going to save the day, or even Jeb Bush. They'll be happy if Jeb Bush wins. Oh, we won. We have victory because Jeb Bush won, and we got a Republican in the White House. We got Republicans dominating the Senate and whatnot, and we're having major victories. No, you're not, idiots. Because and I literally mean idiots to the people who actually believe this stuff, even in the patriot groups. You're an idiot if you actually believe that a Republican's got to save the day. Because what the Republicans are good at okay, the Democrats are bad at. What the Democrats are good at, the Republicans are bad at. It's equal. And don't give me the, oh, we're voting for the lesser two evils. There's no such thing as lesser two evils. Evil is evil, period. Plain and simple. So, again, the Democrats and Republicans both pose good views. They're different from each other, but they pose good views. But on the flip side, both of them have bad views, but they're opposite from each other. That's the way it works. You know what I mean? That's how it works. Just to dupe the American people to believe you have a choice, okay? None of these parties are for you. I'm telling you right now. And you think, oh, we're going to have major victories because we got a Republican in the White House. You're not. I'm telling you right now. And all you got to do is put America back to sleep again. We need to abolish the Republican and Democratic parties, period. I mean, get them out of here. We don't need any of them. And if you do want to get behind a person, some like Judge Andrew Napolitano, if he ran, he'd definitely be independent. And there's some people like that you have to get behind, to encourage to run for president and everything else. And he would make a hell of a president because he's pure constitutional by the book. And again, you need to abolish both the Republican and Democratic parties. And again, if you think Jeb Bush is going to be the savior, you're a complete idiot and you don't learn from history. Over and over again, you got the Bushes to Clinton, Bush to Obama. It's the same people. And it's Bush, Clinton, for brother from another mother, and he's not too far off because if you do the lineage of all these guys, the Bushes, Obama, Clinton, even Obama, all of them are related. They're third, fourth cousins down the bloodline trails. You could follow it. I mean, it's not conspiracy. So we need to eliminate these Democratic and Republican parties. Both of them equally destroyed the country. Equally, we're going to get into that the last segment. That's going to tie right into this amnesty thing. Because it just wasn't Obama. It was the Bushes, too, and the Clintons that all helped, as a team, destroy this country. And we're going to get into that at the last segment. And now you got a Los Angeles school district under fire after arguing a girl, 14-year-old, mature enough to consent to sex with a teacher. CBS Los Angeles reports the LA Unified School District Friday was facing criticism over how the district handled a student sexual assault case involving one of their teachers. And I guess they're sticking up for the teacher to say, hey, the 14-year-old has, is age of consent, which is wrong. I mean, it's just total perversion in our schools and everywhere else, and it really is disgusting. But we do got to move on. We got ISIS, 9/11, NSA reform bill killed in U.S. Senate over terror fears. And this is reported from Russia Today. The United States Senate failed to get the 60 votes needed to break the filibuster and move forward with the USA Freedom Act, which would have placed significant restrictions on the way the NSA's conduct surveillance domestically. And supporters of the bill tailed 58 to 42, and they fell two votes shy of bringing the USA Freedom Act up for a clear majority vote. Opposition generally came from Republicans, but not all conservatives voted against proceeding with the bill. And this is just draconian. And why can't it just be like the most majority, but they have to have, you have to have 60%, but see, that's how they play it. To say, oh, well, it was close, where's the people's vote on that? Why has to be with the Senate? Why can't the people say, hey, no, you call your local representative, hey, the majority of the people say, we don't want this. We don't want NSA spying. But anyway, and you got senior Republicans said stopping surveillance would benefit enemies of the United States, including Islamic State, according to Reuters. And they say, God forbid that tomorrow we wake up in the news that a member of ISIL in the United States, or said Senator Marco Rubio, Republican Florida, he's according to the Huffington Post here, if the NSA cannot track phone calls, he said, that plot may go forward, and that would be a horrifying result. So basically they're justifying, I like this, I mean, I don't like, they're just disgusting, but they're justifying breaking the law by going after something that's illegal. So it's like the seatbelt thing. It's a law, you have to wear a seatbelt, which is unconstitutional. But they say, oh, well, looking in your window, which is a Fourth Amendment violation, so they break the law to see if you're breaking the law. Does that make any sense at all? And, there's a thing called a Fourth Amendment. And I'm encouraging people out there, people in Anon, Anonymous, or whatever, any of these computer hacking clubs or whatever, you know what? go into these databases, crash these people out. NSA, CIA, crash their databases, give them a taste of their own medicine, because I'm sick of them violating our rights. Then they justify, we look for terrorists, like Granny Smith down the street, or your Aunt Rita, or your Uncle Carl, whatever. We got to spy on the emails because we're looking out for the greater good of national security. What? Really? I mean, they stay out of our emails, stay out of our phone calls, and I encourage people to make apps that block government surveillance. How about we spy on them? How about we hack into their computers, spy on their emails, and see what the hell they're up to? It's really sick, and it really is. And they want to spy on us all the time, but you can't say nothing because we're looking out for the best interests of national security. No, it's nothing to do with national security, and you scum know that. You scum know it's nothing to do with protecting this country. It's just about conditioning the public to say, hey, we're your gods, we're your bosses, and you do what you're told. That's what it's about. All right, so let's put all the cards on the table, scumbags. Okay, this is all it's about. It's about control over the population. And that's why I'm encouraging groups like Anon and other groups like that, go into the databases and put all the information out to the whole world to say, hey, these are the criminals. We got to put these criminals on the spotlight, on the carpet, and put the spotlight on them. Say, hey, this is what they're doing. And it's nothing about national security. It's about total surveillance. It's about conditioning the American people and people over the world that, hey, Big Brother is in charge. Big Brother is God. So, it's just disgusting. And again, make apps that alert, there's tons of them you can make that will alert you if you're on your tablet, your phone, whatever. A little alert would pop up to say, hey, look, somebody's spying on you, and give the agency name or whatever. And you can flip them off on the camera. That'd be great. And, and make fake emails to your friends, just to piss these people off. I would do that. Just to piss them off, I would do that. And, even on the phone, I'm like, Al-Qaeda, bombs. I use all the keywords on one phone call. It's funny. And then you hear little clicks on the phone and everything else sometime. And it's just hilarious playing with them. And they think it's funny, though. They really do think it's funny, hacking into our stuff, spying on us. And it's not funny. It's called the Fourth Amendment. And I'm telling you right now, these people who comply with this and pushing this, okay, when this revolution happens, you people got to be brought to justice for treason against the United States of America and its Constitution. And you people don't represent the U.S., okay? You don't represent national security. All you represent is evil and tyranny, and we're going to bring it down. I'm telling you right now. Anyway, speaking of evil, Satanic Temple challenges policy allowing religious materials to be distributed at public schools. And this is the Washington Post reporting this. The Orange County School Board in Florida currently allows religious groups to distribute religious material such as Bibles at public schools. Atheists sought the same right to counter the distribution of Bibles and won. But the school board decided that the things got out of hand, they said, with members of the Satanic Temple recently announced that they wanted to disseminate material on the philosophy and practice of Satanism. Now, even before I get into this, I'm going to state right out, okay? Satanism is not protected by the First Amendment. People say, you say that because it's freedom of religion and all that. First of all, before and after the Bill of Rights were, long before and long after the Bill of Rights were written, Satanism, okay, satanic occult and witchcraft were highly against the law. And they're not a religion, they're an occult. Our Constitution protects us, our way of life and all that, and our liberties and our freedoms, but as long as it doesn't, when that liberty and freedom violates other people's lives, and that's what cults do, they kill people. They're historically known for killing people, sexual sacrifices. Look at that damn satanic calendars and the ritual dates and everything. They state what they got to do. You specify down to the age of female 2 to 6 years old, or a boy 3 to 7 years old, whatever. I should bring up the calendar on all the satanic rituals and the holidays, and you'll see for yourself. It calls for sexually having sex with these children, sodomy, and sacrificing, blood sacrifice. It's really disgusting, and they openly called to do this, folks. And, look at the calendar. That alone will tell you. You can see it on the screen. Those are going to be watching over the weekend. You can see it on the screen that, these satanic holidays, they call to harm people. This First Amendment does not protect you, plain and simple. Especially when you harm other people. That's disgusting. People, a bunch of perverts that love to have sex with children and kill them. People say, oh, no, that's just a moon. No, I know Satanism, dumbass. Okay, I studied the occult. Okay, I have friends who were former Illuminati at the top levels of the occult. Okay, not you backyard little weirdos that run around in back graveyards killing cats and all that. I'm talking about the highest levels of Satanism, folks. Okay, and if you think you know everything about Satanism, you don't know nothing. All right, the highest levels of Satanism, they kill people. That's historically known. And it not only harms them physically, but mentally as well, spiritually as well. It destroys you spiritually. But anyway, we've got to move on. You got a number of homeless children in America surges to an all-time high, a report says. And then this is discussed in Associated Press reports this. The number of homeless children in the United States has surged in recent years to an all-time high, amounting to the one child every third, according to the comprehensive state-by-state report that blames the nation's high poverty rate, the lack of affordable housing, and the impacts of pervasive domestic violence. Well, I'm never going to get to this one either, because all this, isn't that a ton of people, because all this immigration stuff has a high effect on us too. You know, I mean, it's horrible what's going on. It really is. And most kids are suffering now, and they're not getting fed because our government's more worried about feeding kids from third world countries, killing them, I should say, more worried about illegal immigrants and putting up in luxury houses than your own children here in the United States of America, and the veterans and everything else. And the veterans are sleeping on the streets, children are going hungry, but that's not important. What's important to our government is housing illegal immigrants, taking the children, put them into top luxury hotels and apartments on our tax dollars, give them health care, food stamps, everything free, and Obama calling for the green cards and everything else. But I mean, we got a lot of information about that into the last segment, but we do got to go to a break, and we will be right back on the Truth Radio Show with Dan Badandi on alternatecurrentradio.com and shakeandwakeradio.com. We'll be right back. And it's happened again. Another New York public high school denied students' faith-based club, Dare to Believe, that's the name of the organization, reported by Liberty Institute. 16-year-old Liz Lavorti, Liberty Institute, is fighting back against the carbon copy religious discrimination. And in this report, the school she goes to, this high school student, 16 years old, Liz Lavorti, she's fighting against religious discrimination. And a school is denying her club because it's Christianity, even though they got other clubs, many clubs in the school, but just not this one because it's religious. It promotes Christianity. So the principal denied it, but they are fighting against it, and I hope they win. I really do, because this is definitely a discrimination and violation of the First Amendment. That, folks, the First Amendment protects that, not Satanism. Satanism is not a religion, it's an occult. Anyway, you got TSA, ice skates okay on plane. Fake sore stays home, says the Associated Press. The TSA on Tuesday displayed thousands of items confiscated from carry-on bags over 3 months at Kennedy Airport. I guess in one case here, they let ice skates on the plane, but a fake sore had to stay home. And anyway, the article goes on and talks about the dumb items that are confiscated, but items that could pose a threat, they let on the plane. And it's nothing about keeping you safe. Again, it's about just brainwashing people. That's all it is. A condition that TSA knows better. Government in general tells you what to do. So we got to listen to them. Not. Anyway, you got a 10-year-old suspended for pointing an imaginary ray gun. Infowars.com reports this. And in a now all too familiar scenario, a 5th grader has been suspended in Massachusetts after pointing an imaginary gun and saying, "Pow." Oh my God! You know what they should have done? They should have just locked the school down. They should have had the SWAT team SWAT in and shoot the kid dead. And they should have had the SWAT team come through the windows, the whole 9 yards, calling the military because this kid's so dangerous with his fake gun. And I'm saying that sarcastically. I don't mean that literally. And anyway, 10-year-old Nicholas Taylor was suspended for 2 days by officials at Stacy Middle School in Milford, Massachusetts, following the incident which took place in the school cafeteria. And I loved how they make such a big deal out of this because he's got an imaginary gun. And Nicholas, who has no history of bad behavior, is said to have cut in the line at the lunch and mouth laser sounds coming from an imaginary ray gun, otherwise identified as his own finger, pointing at other students in line. And Nicholas himself told reporters that he was not pointing the weapon, quote unquote, at any other students, but was simply amusing himself. It doesn't matter. He was pointing his finger. Kids do that. And we got to contact. I say this every week. We never get around, but I'm going to actually get around to do this. We got to contact these people here and the school and get comments from them. I like to, if Milford's not too far from me, I would love to go up there and interview the principal, see what his justification is. How about you teach your kids the importance of the Second Amendment? Because a kid does this, pew, pew, pew. You know, he's a bad guy, so let's suspend him over it. You know, why don't you just call the SWAT team in there to have him tase him and shoot the kid? You know, because he's posed such a big threat, they should have locked it down, because all those kids in school, their life, the teachers, all their lives were on the line, in jeopardy, because of an imaginary gun. You know, it's unbelievable, really sickening and stupid. And these people claim to be educated. Bunch of morons. How about the Second Amendment? Teach them how important it is. Don't teach them guns are bad, because guns are the ones, guns are what keeps liberties free. That's what guns are. Anyway, speaking of guns, customer shoots, kills armed man during attempted daytime robbery. Reported by Breitbart on November 18th, a customer in the Indianapolis pawn shop foiled an attempted daytime robbery by shooting and killing the armed suspect, and the pawn shop was Cash America. And again, you know, Milford School, why don't you just, in Milford, Mass, why don't you show this, okay? Why don't you look at this and show this, how a gun saved lives, okay? The gun saved the lives of the customers and the store owner, or the clerk, or what have you. And hundreds of these stories pop up all the time. We got tons of them. And, you know, why don't you show them that, how important the Second Amendment is? Teach your kids firearm responsibility, but don't say they're bad, you know, because he's pointing on fake guns. It's stupid. You know, again, another story how gun saves a life. And anyway, you got this, hopefully it will be a big victory. My Fox Lubbock reporting this. Texas open carry bills already filed for a legislative session. And the new governor-elect now, Greg Abbott, has already gone on record to say that he would sign such a bill if and when it makes it through the State House and Senate, which is great. And it's among the most controversial bills pre-filed in the upcoming state legislative session, the possibility of allowing open carry sidearms. And Lubbock, my Fox Lubbock makes it all controversial. No, it's not. That's how America was built. People are allowed to carry weapons. And, you know, got Representative James White of Woodville has pre-filed State House Bill 164, which would allow those who are already licensed to carry a handgun to do so openly. And Representative Jonathan Strickland in Bedford has introduced State House Bill 195, removing the need for a concealed handgun license in order to openly carry, which is great. And I hope this thing passes, because when I was in Texas, I mean, we were allowed to bring, I mean, you didn't have to have a license to keep your gun loaded in the car and bring it to work. You didn't need a license for that, and that was great. But the thing is, you shouldn't need a license to carry a gun. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you should not need a license to openly carry a gun, or conceal at that. It's called the Second Amendment. It's called the Bill of Rights and Constitution. It's called freedom. That's what this country is built on, not gun laws. It was built on gun freedom. That's what keeps us free. And you got idiot schools like the one in Milford, Massachusetts there to say, oh, no, kid, you're bad. You're a Nazi boy because you use your finger as a gun. You know, you people should re-educate yourselves, because you should find out what the spirit of 1776 is about. Find out what American living is. You know, I hate that when they condition these poor kids to say, oh, guns are bad or not. No, they're not. If it wasn't for guns, you scumbags out there that preach against guns, you scumbags wouldn't have that right to preach against guns. You know, it just makes me so mad. Now you got a tropical disease spreading and poses a great threat to the United States. Reports National Geographic, the United States' latest brush with Ebola shows that more than ever, diseases are global travelers. And a physician died in Nebraska hospital on Monday after contracting the disease in Sierra Leone, where he was working. A New York physician came down with the Ebola last month after working in West Africa, sparking quarantines for returning health workers in some states. Earlier in October, a man died in Dallas after becoming infected in Liberia. But Ebola isn't the tropical disease that's most likely to cause health problems in the United States, not by a long shot. A handful of other tropical disease poses much more realistic threats, and they're spread by insects, in which can't be quarantined. Again, they can't be quarantined and spread by insects. And until now, most of the cases in the United States have been diagnosed in travelers, but infectious disease specialists worry that the tropical disease could gain a foothold in local insect populations, spread to more people locally, and become much bigger problem in the near future. And again, it's not just the Ebola, it's not now the D68, not now the flu, and all these other diseases going around the country. Now a new one, a tropical disease. And again, people out there, you doubt the Bible when it says there'll be disease and famine in these times. You name one other time in history that has been this much disease is spreading around like this. You can't. And the Bible explains this. And yeah, I believe in the Bible. And I mean, if you deny the Bible, you're just a complete idiot. I mean, if you can't see everything that's going on in the world and what the Bible warned us about years ago, if you deny that, I mean, you're just a moron, plain and simple. And I really don't care who that offends. I mean, I just don't care, because I tell the truth and how it is. I mean, you don't like it, the truth hurts, deal with it. You got GMO-loaded food corp targets natural foods for being unfair competition, says Infowars.com. Perhaps you've heard of Unilever. The company sells products under 1,000 brands, including Hellmann's mayonnaise. They want to shut down GMO labeling. The mega corporation has decided to file a lawsuit against upstart vegan mayonnaise making company, claiming false advertising and unfair competition. Well, false advertising because it's organic? Well, that's not false, because it is organic. In unfair competition? What do you mean unfair competition? Because they're saying, hey, we use natural stuff other than your GMO crap. So people should file a counter lawsuit because you're poisoning people. You people should be arrested for selling GMOs. Anybody that sells GMOs should be arrested for poisoning people. And you got an NGO in Ephesus, global one-child policy, pandemics to solve overpopulation, the myth that we're overpopulated when you can fit the whole world's population into Fort Lauderdale, Florida, twice. That's a fact. Or you can fit all 7 billion people in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, twice. That's how overpopulated we are. Anyway, you got Paul Joseph Watson from Infowars.com reporting this. The National Academy of Sciences has published a shocking report which envisages a Chinese-style global one-child policy as the only means of reversing climate change and reducing global population to a sustainable number of 1 to 2 billion people. The white paper entitled Human Population Reduction is not a quick fix for the environmental problems, and authored by the university. But what they're going on to say is, hey, we need a one-child policy, which they would try to propose years ago. And Obama said, at the time, said he would have signed it. That was during 2010 at the World Trade Organization meeting. The World Treaty they were trying to sign. And, record snowfall happened all over the place. Then most countries backed out of the deal because they try to use the guise of global warming and climate change now. I don't know how they convert global warming to climate change. Now they say all the snow's caused. I mean, you got record snowfall in Buffalo, New York right now. I think it's over 5 feet. And, these global warmers, people say, oh, that's a result of global warming. And how stupid that sounds, how stupid you sound. If you actually believe that, why don't you look in the mirror and record yourself in the video camera, then play it back and listen to the stupid words you say. All the snow is caused by global warming and climate change. It's like saying I could stick a turkey in my oven at 500 degrees for 3 hours and it's going to come out as a block of ice. That's how stupid you people sound. Anyway, you got Gerber sued over baby formula allergy claims, and baby food maker Gerber is being sued for claiming that its Good Start Gentle formula can prevent and reduce allergies in children, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission announced Thursday. And the company's claim is false and misled consumers by suggesting the formula was the first to meet government approval for reducing allergy risk, said the FTC complaint filed in a federal court, the Associated Press reported. So yeah, right. The same companies that were found that was melamine in the baby formula. But I mean, you can't trust that stuff. I mean, that's why I tell people stick to breastfeeding if you can, because most of the time, I mean, that's all you always find out that it was melamine or some chemicals in the damn formula. But anyway, you got doctors. Potential Ebola cases still covered up by the CDC. And Anthony Gucciotti from Infowars.com reports Ebola continues to spread widely in Sierra Leone as experts project that virtually all major cities in the United States will face important cases of Ebola amid the failed response of the CDC. The Nightly News says that the story on the disease is closed, but medical doctors around the country happen to disagree. Overwhelmingly so, in fact, medical professionals are now speaking out privately and publicly about the cover-up of the potential Ebola cases that they say may end up with their carriers on the line. In which we know that, the CDC is covering it up right now. The mainstream media is not talking about it, but it is being covered up, folks. And yeah, we got a lot more news to cover here. Probably not gonna get to all of it again. I expected that like usual, but it's crazy, man. And you got a lot of news here, and it's tough to get through it all. It really is. And I just want to switch the gears for a minute. ISIS, quick, because we keep neglecting to talk about ISIS. We got a report here that says ISIS is 7 times bigger than West believes. The Independent reports. The Islamic State ISIS has recruited an army of hundreds of thousands strong, far larger than previous estimated by the CIA, according to senior Kurdish leader. Well, the CIA is the one who created them and funds them and arms them, for the record. And he said the ability of ISIS to attack on many widely separated fronts in Iraq and Syria at the same time shows that the number of militant fighters is at least 200,000. 7 or 8 times bigger than foreign intelligence estimates to up them to about 31,000. Our CIA funds these guys. They give them weapons. And what do you think where they get all those brand new vehicles from, arms and everything else? Our CIA. And you got U.S. airstrike on Ahra Ash-Sham kills children. CurtainInfoWars.com reports the U.S.-led coalition using the pretext to rid the world of its own creation, the Al-Qaeda-spawned ISIS, or the Islamic State, has managed to kill more children. And moving on here, the British troop going back to Iraq for ISIS fight. And this Sky News reporting Britain is sending troops back to Iraq to help local forces in the battle against Islamic State militants, the Defense Secretary has confirmed. So there's more news on ISIS here, and we got to move on. We got about a minute to the break, and I apologize for skipping through the headlines like that. It's just like we got so much news, and I never get to get it all out. Between my rant and everything else. And now you got Amnesty launches Detect tool to scan for state spyware on phones and PCs, reports. London Guardian here. Human rights groups say software represents a strike back against governments over covert surveillance. And the Detect app has been created by a coalition of developers of human rights groups, which we were talking about earlier in the show. And I encourage people to keep coming up with these apps, to stop the government spying. And we're going to move on here. Detect, a new malware detection tool that can expose illegitimate state surveillance. Recent years have seen a boom in the adoption of surveillance technology by governments around the world, including spyware that provides its purchasers the unchecked ability to target remote internet users' computers to read their personal emails, listen in on their private audio calls, record keystrokes and passwords, and remotely activate the computer's camera and microphone. EFF, together with Amnesty International, Digital, and the Privacy International groups have all experienced assisting journalists and activists who have faced the illegitimate use of such software in defiance of accepted international human rights law to stop government spying. And I do apologize. We're going to cut that off because due to the time sensitive here. But anyway, we will be back on the Truth Radio show with our quote of the week and our diaper bag award winner of the week. We'll be right back on the Truth Radio show. And welcome back to our final segment of the Truth Radio show with Dan Badandi. And we're going to move to our quote of the day. And our quote of the day is from George Washington. And this relates to what we talked about with the guns. But he says, a free people ought not only to be armed and disciplined, but they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to maintain a status of independence from any who might attempt to abuse them, which would include their own government. Again, their own government, he's warning us, hey, could abuse you. And anybody at that, you should have, all citizens should have firearms and ammunition. And I encourage people to go out and buy weapons. Not that you want to use them, but you need them just in case you have to. And God forbid that comes, but anyway. And we're going to move to our next segment, which is Diaper Bag of the Week Award. We've been doing this for a couple of weeks now, and I want to explain what a diaper bag is. It's plain and simple how it sounds. I mean, it's not only a tyrant, not only somebody that abuses other people's constitutional rights, it's also somebody who's just full of crap, plain and simple. And this goes out to the state representative. This is reported from Americans Against the Tea Party, reporting this story here. State Representative sledgehammers homeless people's possessions while wearing an Armenian hat. And five-term Hawaiian Representative Tom Brower has waged his own war against the homeless in the state. He has taken to the streets with the sledgehammer in search for homeless people in hopes to destroy any possession they may have. Brower says he's disgusted with homeless people in his state, and this informed Honolulu, Hawaii Star advises about his ideology of enforcing justice, which he calls justice, quote unquote, he says. And he quotes, "If I see shopping carts that I can't identify, I will destroy them so they can't be pushed around the streets." And Brower claims that since he began his new campaign, he has destroyed an estimated 30 shopping carts with a sledgehammer in the last 2 weeks. And he says, I want to do something practical that will really clean up the streets, he explained to the Hawaiian News Now. And he says, if someone is sleeping that night at the bus stop, I don't do nothing. But if they are sleeping during the day, I'll wake them up and say, get your ass moving, he said. Well, how about this? How about I take a trip down to Hawaii, Mr. Representative Tom Brower? How about I take your sledgehammer and shove it right up your ass? Plain and simple. And I hope some homeless guy does it. I hope you come across some vet, okay, and you think you're all big, bad, and muddy with your sledgehammer, okay, and you're going to destroy this guy's stuff. And some Special Forces Green Beret guy takes your sledgehammer and shoves it so far up your ass, okay, that you're going to be coughing up splinters. And you're a piece of work, scumbag. And I would love, I wish, Hawaii wasn't halfway across the world, whatever the hell. But I wish I could just go down there and do it myself. I would love to get arrested for shoving that thing right up your ass. And justice for, real justice for those homeless people. And it's not that their fault, they're on the streets, jerk off. And excuse the language, and that's exactly what you are. And I would, oh man, this guy is a well-deserved recipient. And Representative Tom Brower, whatever the hell your name is, I don't even give a crap at all. You are definitely a recipient of the Diaper Bag of the Week. You are a recipient of similar awards to our other shows, and you're just a piece of work, a piece of trash. You walk around like Mr. Get Bad, I seen the video, with your sledgehammer, and at the department stores should press charges against this guy. And people in Hawaii, you should be outraged. You should be demanding this son of a bitch out of office. And excuse the language, folks, it just pisses me off that these scumbags walk around like they're God, and especially attacking homeless people. I would love for you to be on the street, scumbag, and somebody to come up and bust up your stuff. And I encourage anybody out there, go shove a sledgehammer right up that son of a bitch's ass. I would love to do that. I would love to, a cop comes, I'll put the handcuffs on myself, because I'll tell the judge, hey, you know what, if that makes me guilty, I'll definitely go to jail. I would love to take a trip down there to shove it right up his ass. And I hope some homeless person does that. I really do. Because you are a complete dirtball scumbag, Mr. Tom Brower. And you're a poor excuse of a representative, and you should be thrown out of office and arrested. Piece of dog trash. I'll shut up because we're going to move on. Just going to take a deep breath because it just makes me so mad. I just hope some homeless veteran just rips you to shreds. I really do. Piece of crap. I like to say something else, but, family-orientated show here. And anyway, we're going to get right to this amnesty thing, our top story of the night. And this ties into the Ferguson riots are about to take place. And we're going to read some headlines. And Judge Napolitano says Obama's executive amnesty would be playing with constitutional fire, reports Steve Watson of Infowars.com. A former New Jersey Superior Court judge, Andrew Napolitano, has called Obama's planned executive amnesty illegal, while Senator Rand Paul has stated that the lawsuit may be the only way to stop it. And this has been all over the news. And the thing is, I think Obama is going to push this amnesty executive order right about the time of this whole issue going on in Ferguson, and everybody's waiting for the verdict of this trial. which ties into this. We're going to get into all that. We're going to put it all together, so bear with me. And you got an article from Infowars.com reporting Ferguson residents arm themselves. Residents in Ferguson, Missouri neighborhood cities are buying firearms to protect themselves against violence expected after the St. Louis County grand jury decides the fate of Darren Wilson, the police officer who shot and killed Michael Brown. And Infowars is down there now. Joe Biggs and Jakari Jackson are down there now. They interview gun owner stores. As I said, the sales have gone up 300%. People are buying guns. Even the police are telling the residents to buy guns because we can't protect you. So you're looking at an all-out war that's possibly going to happen. If this Darren Wilson, the police officer, if he gets off, I mean, this is going to spark outrage across the country. And the media ain't helping out much either, because they're race baiting. They're promoting people like Al Sharpton and all these other articles that say, just to put blacks against whites to cause racial violence all across the country. And I see it. I mean, I can see Los Angeles, New York, all the major cities having riots if Officer Darren Wilson gets off. So expect that to happen. And I tell people all over the country in major cities, arm up, because these looters, it's nothing about the thing is, why go loot and destroy your own neighborhood? It doesn't make sense because you're pissed off. Yeah, I'm pissed off too. That kid should have never got shot. But, I'm not going to go destroy my own neighborhood because of that. I mean, it's stupid. It really is. Let's go destroy your neighbor's property and stores and everything else because we're pissed off about something. It's nothing to do with them. Go take it out on officials if you want to do anything about it. You got fear of Ferguson riots fueled 300% increase in gun sales. We're just talking about. Infowars reports. And Steve King of Metro Shooting Supply says he's seen a 300% increase in gun sales as the St. Louis area awaits to see if Officer Darren Wilson will be indicted. And Missouri National Guard, they're on standby. We talked about this last week. The Missouri National Guard on standby for Ferguson grand jury decision, reports The Guardian. The Missouri National Guard will be on standby to deal with any protesters after the grand jury announces its decision on whether to charge the police officer who shot dead an unarmed teenager, Michael Brown, the state governor announced Tuesday. This was back November 11th. So then you got the National Guard down there, and we got videos from Infowars.com where they had live feed of National Guard and police armed to the teeth against protesters. Because protesters are bad people, so you need tanks, they should send fighter jets in there too, just wipe everything out because, protesters are so dangerous. And here's the thing, they're going to use provocateurs. They're going to use police to dress up as protesters to go in here and incite violence to give justification. That's how exactly what happened in 2010 at the World Trade Organization meeting. So, the protesters, most of them with signs, are peaceful people, but you do got idiots out there who do destroy cars, and yes, they do deserve to get arrested for that. But the regular protesters, why do you need armed guards for them? Why do you need tanks? It's stupid. Ferguson, race baiting for political power and profit. This is reported by Infowars.com. And did you ever wonder why the race hustlers champion victims such as Trayvon or Michael Brown? Since 9/11, the police have killed more than 5,000 Americans, and you are 8 times more likely to be killed by a police officer than a terrorist. Despite the brutality, governments at least level seek to further militarize police to consolidate power in the state. Is Obama trying to cause, which is going to all tie into, just bear with me again, all this ties in together. Now, is Obama trying to cause civil unrest in America? Reports Paul Joseph Watson, Infowars.com, by choosing to announce his extreme controversial executive agenda on amnesty at almost precisely the same time the verdict in the shooting death of Michael Brown is expected to be announced. President Barack Obama risks causing civil unrest in America, and the time is so senseless that it almost looks like Obama is deliberately trying to stir up domestic disorder. And police departments across the country are preparing for riots in the aftermath of what is expected to be the acquittal of Officer Darren Wilson, a decision expected to be made within the next 36 hours. So they're expecting Darren Wilson to get off on us, and it's going to cause riots, like we said. And what all this ties together, the amnesty thing? Well, let's go back in time. Lou Dobbs, he was the first mainstream reporter. Alex Jones is probably the first person to come out about this. So it's called the North American Union. That's why you're not hearing nothing about it. All right, and this shouldn't be all go to blame to Obama, because Obama is just simply the puppet pushing it forward. Now you go back in time, you got old man Bush. who was one of the architects of the European Union and vision of North American Union. Well, Bill Clinton comes along, signs the NAFTA and GATT deals, and further along the whole escalation of the North American Union. Then you had Bush #2 come into office, who were President Martin and Prime Minister Fox, signed, sealed, and delivered the North American Union. Signed, sealed, and delivered. It's done. Deal. But it's not, they don't want to announce this to the public yet. Lou Dobbs was the first mainstream reporter to come out and expose this. He had to go to YouTube and type in Lou Dobbs, North American Union. And it's the amnesty thing. He came right up about the amnesty. He got his house shot at for this. They forced him to resign over this, about reporting the amnesty deal and the North American Union. And you can see all the reports. I mean, he says, plain and simple, the United States of America is over as you know it. And he's got all the videos from his shows and everything. And this is it, folks. And Obama was to be put in president to usher us into this. That's why the borders are open. Now, if you tie this all together, he's causing racism. And this guy's going to get acquitted. I'm telling you right now, Darren Wilson will be acquitted. That means he's going to be set free, released of all charges. And it's going to cause nationwide violence. Why? Because they want to divide the people. They want whites and blacks and Hispanics all fighting with each other. So while they're all distracted with that, Obama lets the amnesty plan go. Our 30 million plus illegal immigrants, and we talked about how he was demanding from the Pentagon, and the government say, hey, I want 33 million work permits and green cards for these illegal immigrants. And all this is all about the same time, all tying together now. And this is why they're not doing nothing about the border. That's why they're actually bringing people in over the border, our own government, because they can't close the borders down. This is what people don't understand. Because it violates the North American Union. That's why they're not closing the borders, folks. That's why. That's the only reason why. But they're not telling the public that. The mainstream media is not talking about this. Because we have been under the North American Union since Bush. When he signed, sealed, and delivered with Prime Minister Fox and President Martin, that's Mexico and Canada, they signed, sealed, and delivered it, and it's implemented. But Obama's supposed to usher us slowly into the North American Union, the public anyway. We've been under the North American Union since Bush. This is why they're not telling you, folks. This is why they're trying to push all this amnesty plan and all that, because they have to. Because if they don't, they're violating the trade agreements and everything. This is what's going on, folks. We are under a North American Union. And I mean, people call you conspiracy theorists and wacko from talking about it, but you know what? The mainstream media reported about this. And, Lou Dobbs, he got shut up about it. But, you could go research all his reports. You can see the videos. And you can see Bush and Martin and Fox all signing this agreement. And Lou Dobbs shows it all. Alex Jones has been talking about this for eons. They're, since Clinton especially, they were pushing forward the NAFTA and GATT. That was causing major uprising in Texas. People in Texas were taking action. They were stopping the NAFTA highways. They were taking up arms because the government was mowing right over people's property they owned for generations. Hey, we're confiscating your property because we're building these international highways that go all the way from Mexico into Canada, across the United States. But people were taking up arms against the government to stop this. But, again, you will never hear any of this anywhere else. You won't hear this. But you can go research all of this, and this is all facts. Okay, this is all on record, all of it. So what you're seeing now, folks, is the implementation of the North American Union. That's why the healthcare had to pass. This all ties into it, everything. The healthcare had to pass to push this because it institutes this ultimately a mark of the beast chip. That's RFID, and this ain't conspiracy. This is all in the bill. This is all on record. This ties into the amnesty thing. The NAFTA and GATT ties into the North American Union thing. It all ties them together. And the real ID, remember that? People forgot about? How they want to institute the same ID across the entire country. They say, oh, it's for national security. No, it was for the North American Union. They want all three countries under the same system. Open borders. I mean, you can move to Canada, Mexico, vice versa, with no restrictions. In other words, like, you don't even need a passport, nothing. It's like moving from Rhode Island to Massachusetts. Or Texas to Missouri or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what they're doing. But again, you're not going to hear anything from mainstream media. You're not going to hear this anywhere. And that's why, again, this all ties in more. That's why the dollar is collapsing, the Canadian dollar is collapsing, the Mexican money's collapsing. I forgot the name of the currency, whatever. But this is all why it's all collapsing, folks. This is why the borders are wide open. This is why the health care is being instituted in all 3 countries, universal health care. All right, this is all ties in together, folks. You know, put the pieces of the puzzle together. You're seeing it happen right now. Ferguson to distract the people, because I'm telling you right now, this guy's going to get acquitted. And even if he doesn't, it's going to cause a nationwide outrage. Either way, I mean, you see riots happening, but either way, it's a distraction. So Obama, about the same time, and I agree with Paul Joseph Watson, he's going to try to institute this amnesty plan as the stuff's going on. So everybody's distracted over here, he's going to knock you out with the right. You know, when he's distracting you from the left, he's going to knock you out from the right. And before you know it, I mean, right now, you got illegals all over the country right now. All being put up in fine luxury hotels, on your tax dollars, right in the health care plan that says we pay for illegal immigrants if they get hurt in America. We pay for abortion clinics in China. You know, we pay for everything. We pay for illegal immigrants to come here, get food stamps, come here, and the comes out of your tax money to get driver's license. And some states want to institute driver's license to illegal immigrants. I mean, you're seeing the North American Union happening right here and right now, folks. And I've warned you back. I started my show in 2009. From day one, I warned people about the North American Union. And you're seeing everything, all the stuff right here I just mentioned, folks, all ties in together. But we are about out of time, and we'll be back next week, and we're going to have more information, especially if this guy gets acquitted or whatever happens. We're going to have the aftermath of this verdict. Thanks for listening to the Truth Radio Show on AlternateCurrentRadio.com and ShakeandWakeRadio.com. This is Dan Badandi. Have a good week, and God bless.